Thank you for joining us for this March 3rd meeting of the Fortuna City Council. If you'll silence your devices, we'll call this meeting to order. And please join me in the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Conley.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here. Thank you. Our first item on the agenda is oral comments from the public. If anybody has anything that they would like to make public comment on that is not on the agenda.
You forgot roll call. Oh, never mind.
Okay, so we'll move on, and we have a proclamation in recognition of Library Day, in recognition and support of Fortuna Library Day, March 3rd, 2025. Whereas the library provides informational services to all members of our community, and whereas the library promotes literacy and encourages reading among young people. And whereas in a world undergoing constant change, libraries provide enduring connections to the past and future of our communities, nations, and civilizations. And whereas libraries promote unrestricted access to information, provide entry to important research, and serve as community centers for lifelong learning. And whereas the Fortuna City Council supports Friends of the Library in providing young people access to more books. Now, therefore, I, Mike Johnson, Mayor of the City of Fortuna, do hereby proclaim March 3rd, 2025 as Fortuna Library Day, and urge everyone to pay special tribute to the contributions of the library in our community by supporting Library Day and visiting our library. Signed this 3rd day of March, 2025, Fortuna City, the City of Fortuna, State of California, in witness thereof.
Thank you very much, Mayor Johnson and City Council. I had something to say, but I think this proclamation says it all. We at the Fortuna Friends of the Library can't thank you enough for your continued support, recognizing the importance of the library. We have a wonderful staff, great programs for everyone, and you're right, it's just a place for you to come and choose and find a book you want to read. So thank you. And I have buttons for you.
Thank you.
And it is, Library Day is May 8th. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And we now will have an introduction of our new account clerk.
All right, well, good evening, Council. So I'd like to introduce our new account clerk, Sandy Brown. Sandy comes to the city after many years of running a successful business in southern Humboldt. Sandy also has extensive experience working for a school district where she did everything from driving a bus to doing the water treatment for the district. So we're extremely pleased to have someone willing to fill in wherever there's a need. And Sandy's already impressed us with her calm demeanor, her flexibility, and her desire to learn. So please join me in welcoming Sandy.
Thank you very much. I'll do my best to make you all proud, and I'm loving my job, so thank you.
Well, thank you and welcome aboard. All right, we come to our consent calendar. We have 3 items: the city council minutes of February 18th, report on disbursements, and donation acceptance from the Bob and Jenny Canterbury Foundation. Does anybody wish to pull anything?
C.
Go ahead.
I met with Jenny Canterbury after the last meeting to talk to her about, she had heard that we were raising our rates, which was going to be $20 extra per child. And the Canterbury Foundation, her and her husband, didn't want any kid to not be able to play. So she contacted me. We had a really nice meeting, very, very nice lady. And so she made a donation for $30,000 to go towards these fees for the kids, so the kids could all play. And the place, or I think it's mostly just soccer and fast pitch is what they'll go for. And so I've contacted both of them, and so they know how to get those fees for the city reimbursed. So I just want to give them a special thank you for stepping up and helping with the kids with the sports that they can play. So thank you very much, Bob and Jenny Canterbury.
Yes, thank you. Well, can we get a,
Motion to
Well-
approve the consent calendar?
Second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Is there any public comment on the consent calendar? None. So we move on to city council business. Our first item is a second reading and adoption of ordinance 2025-773, amending the city of Fortuna zoning map and applying a qualified zone to implement the Mill District specific plan.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. I'm Sherry Mead, your Community Development Director. So this is just a second reading. Before you tonight, we were here on February 18th, where we gave a bit more of a presentation and asked you to certify an EIR, approve amendments to the general plan and the design guidelines. Tonight is just the second reading for the Q qualified zone, which will allow many different uses within the Mill District, which is what the whole goal of the project is, to allow a lot of compatible uses, a balanced transportation network, and many other things. But this piece is just changing the zoning to apply that Q qualified zone and then allow more diverse land uses than what normally would have been under the previous zoning. I could pull up the presentation from the last time if you would like, or I can just answer any questions you may have.
Well, think of questions, and at this time, I'll open up the public hearings for public comment, if there's any comment from the public. Seeing none, is there any questions or comments from council? Okay,
I make a motion to conduct the second reading and adopt ordinance 2025-773, read by title only.
I second.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we get a roll call?
Ordinance 2025-773, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fortuna, amending Section 17.02.030 of the Municipal Code zoning map to adopt the Mill District Q qualifying zone to implement the Mill District specific plan. Councilmember Conley?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Trent?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes. Thank you. And we'll move on to our second item, a Fortuna Business Improvement District Annual Report and Bylaw Amendments.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson and council members. Before you today is the Fortuna Business Improvement District Bylaw Changes and Annual Report. So I have a summary of the bylaw changes before you. So the FBID ad hoc recommended to the FBID Advisory Committee a series of changes to the bylaws. Article 2, we added some clarifying language under the purpose section. Article 3, committee members and district city staff removed the core areas from the bylaws, and also the city council member would remain and become a voting member. And because we removed the core areas, this would reduce the committee members from 7 to 5. In addition, in Article 3, we removed the reference to the FBID administrator and added clarifying language to the city's role in FBID. Article 4, membership, we added some language for consistency and provided more leeway for advisory committee members to be selected. Article 5, term of membership, we removed reference to the FBID administrator since that position no longer exists. Article 6, membership duties and responsibilities, we provided voting privileges for the appointed council member, removed reference to the FBID administrator, and again removed reference to the core areas. Article 7, we added clarifying language on calling meetings. And then the agenda minutes and the finance article, we moved those sections to Article 3. And then Article 14, we removed this section since there's no longer an FBID administrator. So in addition, the FBID Advisory Committee recommends reinstating the assessment for fiscal year 25-26 to a flat assessment of $25 for every business within the city of Fortuna, which would generate approximately $16,500 annually. These FBID bylaw changes were recommended by the FBID Advisory Committee on February 18th. So that's the summary of the FBID bylaw changes. And now we'll move on to the FBID annual report. So there are no proposed changes to the FBID boundaries, but again, the core area designations for the downtown core, Strongs Creek area, and the Redwood Village core area were removed. And again, this would modify the FBID advisory committees from 7 to 5. In the FBID annual report, there's a summary of activities for fiscal year 24-25. In March, they approved $360 in a one-time expense for downtown merchant storage. In May 2024, the City Council voted to not levy an assessment for FBID for fiscal year 24-25. In June, they approved a little over $1,000 for fireworks for the 3rd of July festival and approved $7,500 for the Fortuna Downtown Business Association. In October, they created an FBID ad hoc committee, and those members worked with the city manager, myself, and we worked on the FBID bylaws and considered the flat assessment, which is before your city council today. The FBID advisory committee also approved $2,500 for the Al Gray Lighted Parade. And then the FBID social media accounts were deleted and the adopt a block signs were removed. And then year-to-date for calendar year 25, the FBID Advisory Committee approved the bylaws in the annual report. So in the levy of the, one of the requirements of the annual report is that your city council consider levying the assessment. And so for fiscal year 24-25, no assessment was levied. However, the FBID Advisory Committee recommends levying a $25 flat assessment for fiscal year 25-26 on all businesses, which is approximately 660 businesses in Fortuna, and that would generate approximately $16,500. And so the next steps in this process is to bring an intent to levy the assessment and resolution. And I should say, if you approve the FBID annual report that is before your city council today or with modifications, then there'll be an intent to levy the assessment and resolution that will come to your city council in a future meeting. And then there will also be an additional public hearing. And so staff recommends that there is a motion to adopt the FBID annual report, either as presented or with specified modifications. And if there are specified modifications, that you direct us on those proposed changes. And I would be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Well, we'll open public comment if anybody from the public has anything to speak about FBID. And I don't see any. I'm not going to close public comment yet, but I do have one thing. I'd like to look at the terms of office of the committee members. If we have good people serving on the committee, perhaps we want to make that to be able to serve longer than just two-year terms.
Sure, Mayor Johnson, we could amend that portion of the bylaws, and it could say each committee member shall take office in January and serve a 2-year term, and may be reappointed consecutively to the same position, period.
That makes it hard sometimes to find commission members, committee members, and perhaps we shouldn't limit it to just two-year terms. So I like that idea.
Okay?
I don't know if you guys have any comment on that
I don't
or
have a problem
any
with
other.
it.
I don't have an issue with it either.
All right. And again, any public comment? It's a very thorough report, and we could get a motion.
No, I have a
Oh,
comment.
okay, that's what I was.
You haven't asked us yet.
well,
I know that the committee has put a lot of work into the assessment. I don't feel that the assessment that they're saying is $25 per business, which I feel is unfair to the lower ones and very generous to the upper ones, because the assessment as it was before would be $11 for the lower paying business, up to $431 for the higher paying ones. So the ones that might have been paying $400 now only pay $25, and the people that were paying $11 are now paying $25, which is more than what their business license costs to do. So I would say that if we want to reinstate the assessment, we reinstate it as it was before it got taken away, because the 25 years is just a placeholder till next year, and then the prices are going to go back up to close to this. So I would just rather do this one now and not do the $25 assessment, just go back to where it was before, and then if they want to adjust that, the prices that it was before, then they can do that. I don't know what the rest of the council thinks about that.
I personally agree with the FBID committee. That's their job, and that's what they agree on this year. If it wants to change next year, we can look at it again next year.
If I may, Mayor Johnson, I will add that the FBID ad hoc and the FBID advisory committee did discuss a tiered system. And in the future, the finance department will be moving to Invoice Cloud, which will make a tiered system more easy to administer. And so the FBID committee talked about bringing the tiered system back in a fiscal year 26, 27.
Well, I'm good with the form that they brought forward this year for the report and ask. I side with Councilmember Conley with that. Does any FBID representative have anything they want to add to this?
I just think if we're going to do a tiered system next year, why don't we just start it this year instead of, I'm afraid what's going to happen is people are going to say, well, I only had to pay $25 last year, now I have to pay $300. I just think that it would cause more of a problem doing that than just going straight to the tiered system this year. And then the people that are paying the lower amount, I don't think it's right that you have to pay a FBID or assessment that's more than your business license.
Aaron, you want to take that?
So I think one of the discussions that the FBID committee had when they were going to go back to the tiered system is that it wouldn't be the old tiered system. It would be maybe a tier of 3 or 4 payment ranges, and they would be like 25, 50, 75, and 100. So I don't think the intention was ever to go back to somebody paying $1,000. And it was more about, what is the need that the committee has, which is about $16,000 annually, and so they didn't feel like they needed $50,000 in revenue, coming in each year to service the current requests that they're getting.
And I agree with that, like, it's gonna go up from nothing, because last year there was no assessment, we elected to do nothing, so $25 will get it back into the system of actually doing an assessment on them. And again, the FBID committee that's what they're designed to do, is to kind of bring this forward to what they want and need, and I think that will satisfy what they need this year, and again, they may reevaluate next year in the next FBID report, and it may be a different story, but if this is the ask that they're asking, I think we should support it.
And if this is what will do the core mission, and it was brought up by the FBID board, and I'm assuming that each member that wanted to was at the meeting and had their say in it. So I think we should go with what the FBID people themselves brought forward.
Well, I still don't like it, but I'm not going to hold it up.
That's democracy in action.
Yes.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the FBID annual report with the modification to have the 2-year term that could possibly be reappointed after the 2 years. Is that something like that?
Yes.
Close enough. And provide direction on the proposed changes.
And I guess I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. There's none opposed. So thank you. And now we will move to item C, a professional services agreement with LACO Associates for Land and Water Conservation Fund grants for Newburgh Park, the Vansel Forest Parcel, and the Riverwalk Park.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson and council members. In the city's general plan, there's a series of parks, goals, policies, and programs to develop and promote a balanced park system with a balance of passive and active recreation opportunities, acquire adjacent parkland, identify and adequately fund the development of new and existing parks, multi-agency coordination and planning, developing, protecting, and managing park resources, supporting community pool efforts, and identifying and acquiring lands with significant natural resources. I am happy to say that you are meeting these general plan goals, policies, and programs because you have acquired 2.66 acres of land to expand Newburgh Park. You have also been working to acquire 6.25 acres of redwood forest land that would expand Roner Park and create Roner Community Forest. The city's also received notification of the 237 acres that the city would require along the lower Eel River, 7.2 acres of which the city would keep, and the other 229.6 acres will be returned to the Wiyot tribe. And what we don't currently have, while we have the ability to acquire these parcels through grant funds, we don't have the funds to develop these parklands. And so part of city staff's job is to research funding options. And one of those funding options is the Land and Water Conservation Fund. And this is a $35 million statewide opportunity that I'd like to see the city apply for. And so I'd like to see the city apply for Newburgh Park expansion, the Vansel Forest Park, either the acquisition or the development, depending on whether other grant funds come forward, and then the development of the Riverwalk Park. There is a lot of resources that are required for grant writing, and so using a contractor would be helpful, and LACO and Associates has helped us in the past with park acquisitions, and so staff recommends that you authorize the city manager to execute a contract for up to $27,500 with LACO and Associates. And then these funds will, that would pay for LACO and Associates will come from the general park acquisition improvement budget. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. And we'll open public comment for this. And is there any questions or comments from the council members?
No, I just would like to see the expansion happen. This is, I think we grow our Parks and Rec department and make things better for our city. So I think it is a great thing to pursue. I think income and alike can come with expanding our city's parks and making them where people want to come, not just from in our local general area, but from out of the area to be here too. So.
I'm going to agree with that. I would love to be able to host baseball tournaments and softball tournaments and soccer tournaments at our facilities, bring people into our cities, eat in our restaurants, stay in our hotels. It would definitely be an asset for the city of Fortuna. So, and that's what I would actually like to see done first, because that will actually help bring in money for the Parks Department. So I would agree with this too, and hopefully we'll get it.
It's awesome. And that parcel across, right there, fronting on the river, across from the Comfort Inn, would be a prime spot for a park. And a little further down, there's even a place to access the river, and you could launch a kayak there possibly if we develop that, and it would be a great thing.
That one could actually be tied into River Lodge too, maybe do an outside wedding in front of the river and then your reception in at the River Lodge. So that would be nice to have that, or outside concerts.
Yes, definitely. And any public comment? I ask again. I'd love to give the public chance to weigh in. Seeing none, I think it's a great thing, and I think we should move ahead with that. But do we have a motion from the council?
I'll make a motion to authorize the city manager to execute an agreement with LAFCO Association or Associates to assist the city with 3 LWCF grant applications in the amount of $27,500.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? We have another task to move ahead with. A great thing. I look forward to seeing that development. So we come now to the city manager's report.
Yes, we are at the city manager's report. Thank you. All right, so we have upcoming council meetings. We have a special meeting on Monday, March 10th, where your council will review applications for the vacant city council position. So that meeting will begin at 6 p.m. on Monday, March 10th. We also have a normal city council meeting on Monday, March 17th. Upcoming planning commission meetings are on Tuesday, March 11th and Tuesday, March 25th, both at 6 p.m. We have upcoming Measure E meetings on Tuesday, March 18th and Tuesday, April 1st at 5:30 p.m. The RCRPD meetings are Wednesday, March 5th. However, this meeting has been canceled, and Wednesday, April 2nd at 2:30 p.m. And then the upcoming FBID meeting is Tuesday, April 22nd at 8:30 a.m. and Tuesday, July 22nd at 8:30 a.m. And just to give your city council an update on some of the things that I've been working on, I attended several meetings with the county and other cities around coordinating the adoption of a ban on retail nitrous oxide for recreational use. And so there's more information on this potential ordinance that will be coming to your city council in the future. But there is a lot of damage that the recreational use of nitrous oxide can occur, and we want to keep it out of the hands of young children if we can. Also met with the State Coastal Conservancy to continue the work on the Riverwalk Park acquisition. And so that work continues. I've also met with the county and the cities to coordinate activities around franchise agreement negotiations with Recology, so that work still continues. And then, as always, I meet with city departments and city staff, and so that concludes my city manager's report.
Thank you. I would also ask you guys if there's any future agenda items you'd like to bring forward. Okay. Well, we'll go into council reports. Councilmember Conley.
Thank you. Haven't attended any meetings, but I do also want to extend out the thank you to the Canterbury family. I think the foundation, that is a great thing for the city and the youth of our community. Again, knowing that we had to make that decision with the Parks Department, but also able to have people in the community generous enough to help out and be there to help support our kids and our youth, so I appreciate it.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Trent.
I'll just add a little bit to that. The Fast Pitch was very thrilled with that because they had already sent out their applications for signups, so they didn't know how they were going to be able to make that up. So this gives them a year to prepare for the following year. So that was very good, that they received that. And then I went to the Chamber Awards dinner, and I'm going to tell you a few of the awards. The Large Business of the Year was Humboldt Auction Yard. Small Business of the Year was Humboldt Tires. Nonprofit of the Year was Fortuna Kiwanis. New Business of the Year, Fortuna Farmhouse. Community Business of the Year, Coast Central Credit Union. Volunteer of the Year, Chris Broadstock. Milestone Business of the Year, Horizon Business Products. Citizen of the Year was our supervisor, Michelle Bushnell. Ambassador of the Year was Mavis Amon. So congratulations to all of those. It was a very well-attended dinner, and it was very good. That's all I have to report.
Well, that was a great dinner. It was a great evening of recognizing the people that help make things happen in Fortuna, and the business owners, the volunteers, and amazingly, you look at some of the businesses and they donate to different things in Fortuna to help make these things possible, whether it's sports, the special events, rodeo, the Auto Expo. It's a great community that gets together and supports what happens here to provide things for our citizens as well as the people from out of the area. I have had a HCOG meeting in February where we passed the overall work plan, which is the budget for HCOG, and it will move on to Caltrans and for their approval, and then it will be adopted later on in the year. I do have a Caltrans meeting next week on the 12th for the what they call the North Deal, the district engineers and locals. Keep updated on what's happening, how projects are progressing, and when some of the work zone traffic control may come down. Don't know. We'll find out. Then on the 20th, I do have an HCOG meeting. And I will say that I went to Ferndale because I had not had a lot of Patches Pastries items and wanted to get down there and recognize them for coming to Fortuna and talk to them, support them because they were having a 10-year anniversary celebration. Well, unfortunately, had to leave before they could get it going because they were running a little bit late. But they did bring some items here, and we were able to try them, and I distributed some of those to our people at City Hall and Council. And I'm looking forward to it, another business coming down to Main Street. So with that, I think my report is done, and I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are adjourned.